Hey everybody, what's going on? That is week 7 of UFL. It is in the books. It was an exciting week of football. We had some great games. I unfortunately went 0-4 against the spread. That is brutally bad. A couple weeks ago, I did go 4-0 against the spread, but man, I got burned on some games this week. Let's do a little quick recap on the games. On Friday, we had DC and San Antonio. The defenders pulled it out 32-24. That game came down to the wire. It was back and forth. We definitely saw some effort from the Brahmas at home. I know Wade Phillips was in the house. He had been stepped away from the team due to health reasons. And unfortunately for San Antonio, they came up short in this one. The defenders came roaring back in the second half. In fourth quarter, DC throws that fourth or short yardage play to the lineman. He got a ball for demonstration purposes, but he just gently pulls it in by his hand, brings it on in, gets hit, but manages to hold on to the football, knees down, scores, and that's ball game. So it was an impressive win by the defenders. I think that DC had this is kind of a turning point in their season a little bit. They've been playing really well. None of these teams really look dominant. League is showing some parity. There's only 8 teams in the league, so that's all that we can see so far. But we did see some great things from that game. Kevin Hogan had 2 touchdown passes. He was carrying that team on his back. There's zero doubt that Hogan is definitely what was going on there. He was hulking up, brother. He said, "What you gonna do? What Kevin Hogan runs wild on you, dude?" And it almost worked. Sometimes you come up a little short. Defense got to do its job as well. Got to do. They got to do its job. Just saying. They got to do their job. So when the defense doesn't hold up and it comes down to the end like that, we're just kind of hoping that, San Antonio put up a fight, and they did. And unfortunately, I did not cover my bet on that one. And for those that tailed, I apologize. I had some really bad beats this week. Some really bad beats. Tamu played pretty well. He threw 3 touchdown passes, 270 yards passing. So he's showing, that DC is the one team that seems to have had quarterback consistency for the whole season. With that being said, Tamu played great football. It's just a good football game on Friday night. And that's what's great about the UFL at springtime. There's nothing on really on Friday nights, and we can go on in there and watch a great game between 2 teams. Unfortunately, with the loss, San Antonio fans that are out there, your season is over. Cannot qualify for postseason contention. That's one team from the USFL division, and with Memphis losing the XFL division, those are both, well, they're in the USFL division, but one team from each conference out. So it's a 3-way horse race on each side, each conference. We'll see what's going on with the playoff race within the next 2 weeks, but when you're eliminated this early, it's kind of hard to stay motivated. But we'll see what they do. These guys are still professionals. They're still showing out. They're still trying to get paid. Well, they're still going to get paid, but they're trying to make the teams in the fall. And until the UFL changes their format, they're still going on the 51st or 54th man philosophy of the Rock, which I disagree with, but that's where they seem to be positioned to be. Rushing the ball, Corbin had 109 yards for San Antonio. And DC didn't really have a great rushing attack. Deion Jackson had 10 carries, 45 yards, but he got in the end zone. And receiving, Braylon Sanders had that 176-yard touchdown. Sometimes that's just how it goes. You get one play, goes your way down the field. Tamu just hits you deep. Call it a touchdown. Call it a win. So congratulations on DC for winning that game. Very good football game on Friday night. And that segues into Saturday's game, which Michigan at Arlington. And I had Michigan laying the 3. I really felt that Bryce Perkins has hit his stride and is leading this Michigan team. Going on the road at Arlington, who has been the most inconsistent team, I feel. I know that teams have worse records. But Luis Perez has got to be the most frustrating quarterback to watch. If you're an Arlington fan and you're watching this guy lead your team, there's times when he can make these plays, and there's times when he just looks like your average high school quarterback in there. No protection on the football from quarterbacks this weekend, I noticed. He got popped. I saw Wynn got popped in the game today, and it's interesting because I got a football in my hand today, and I didn't play quarterback. I got to clarify this, but I did play ball when I was in school. And one thing that I remember that they taught our quarterback in high school was when you're holding the football and you're in the drop back. I'm holding it high because of how the camera angle is. I saw just one hand on the football like this, and you're just begging for somebody to knock the ball out. When you're drop back, you gotta squeeze. You can squeeze it. You can hold it because if somebody comes in from behind and smacks you in this ball, it's going to be a lot harder to pop out of your hands. Somebody comes in front, you can hold it chest. You got your chest and your fingers to hold it close. And if you fall with it, you can wrap your arms around it if need be. It's hard to obviously play this position, but when you got that backside pressure, squeeze it. Squeeze it with your life. You can squeeze the football while you're making your reads. That I do know. And if you're careless with the football, you're going to put your team in position to fail. I saw it with Arlington. I saw it with Memphis today. Hold the ball tight. If you're running back, Tiki Barber had a problem with fumbling the football, right? And what's interesting is his name's escaping me. Coach Coughlin went in there and taught Tiki Barber how to hold the football. And you put it in like this. Hold it diagonal. So when you're holding it, if somebody hits the ball from the top, you got your elbow right there to hold the ball and keep it squeezed, keep it tight. Possession of the football is so critical. It's one of the most critical things, I think, in the game. Obviously, every coach and every casual fan would agree with that. But with that being said, there just has to be better measures taken of taking care of the football. And I thought that Luis Perez, and I think that, these mechanics are something that need to be fixed. And these guys are professionals. I don't care if it's the NFL or not. These guys are playing professional football, and they need to do a better job back there in the pocket. They want to take that ball, and sometimes they pat it before they throw it. Fine, but you can squeeze that ball and hold it tight and protect your team, protect your status as a quarterback. You have to treat the football like it's the most precious thing, almost like it's a baby. You don't want to give that thing away. You don't want to let anybody have that football. And I felt Luis Perez and Win today, just a little bit loose with it. And eventually you do enough of that stuff will cost you time. I mean, Luis Perez did throw for 300 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, they lost at the very last play of the game. A little bit of controversy with Perkins making that run and getting tackled with how much time was left. Perkins threw for 230 yards and a touchdown, so he played okay, but he was also the leading rusher, 8 carries, 60 yards and a touchdown. Michigan's got that great RPO quarterback-driven offense. And because he has that, and he's so big and athletic and can make plays down the field, inside, Michigan is still who I think is going to be the team to beat. Now, I did a little side stream with XFL Jim, and he asked me if I had to do a futures bet, who would I take? And it's Michigan as the favorite, even though I don't do a lot of future betting. But I like Michigan. And I like Houston for the long odds, and I'll get to that in a second. But, Tyler Vaughn's for Arlington, 9 catches, 127 yards and a touchdown. Michigan didn't really have any great offensive output as far as passing yards. I mean, Mariner had 5 catches for 86 yards, so he had a decent – that's a pretty good game. You just got to get in the end zone. But it was a resilient effort for Michigan to go down there and get the win. I had Michigan -3. And it ended up being Michigan -1. Really, really bad beat on the conversion. But that's just how the game goes. It's part of sports betting is something that I do. And I'm going to expand horizons on this channel. It's not just going to be about sports betting all the time. When I start seeing comments in the chat, if you have questions about the UFL, CFL, college football, I love college football. Wait till the fall. Wait till the fall when I start talking about college football. It's my true passion. And I love the NFL just like everybody else. And just talking football and talking what your thoughts are and what your opinions are in this game. And it's great discussion. It's fun to be had. So I want to take a quick moment to shout out XFL Jim for having me on the show. He didn't tell me how the format was going to be with the little get up he put on me, but it was all good. I could appreciate it. And he didn't edit anything crazy. But nonetheless, that was our only Saturday game, and it was a good one. I did enjoy it. And that leads us to our early game today, early kickoff, Houston at Birmingham. I really liked Houston getting 5.5 here, and that's exactly what should have happened. But boy, was there an epic collapse in the second half by the Roughnecks. Man, pardon me, they got out to a hot start, had the pick six on Cookus. First drive of the game, Houston goes right down the field. McClendon was just leading the charge. Quickly went up in the game. In fact, if I remember correctly, it was 25-6 at one point, and then late in the first half, Birmingham got that late touchdown to Sternberger, former Green Bay Packer legend Jay Sternberger. But Cookus ended up kind of struggling down the stretch. He had 199 yards. He had that touchdown pass and one interception. And Jalen McClendon, 167 yards, one touchdown. Boy, did Birmingham come out firing. In fact, I want to say that the second half started out, Birmingham just getting down there, getting field goals, and their kicker just ain't missing. None of these kickers in the UFL are missing, and that is craziness. Usually when you see minor league football, you see poor kicking or poor special teams, and that really hasn't been the case in this league. It's been quarterback play more than anything else. Teams are stepping up defensively. They're running the football. They're running complex defensive schemes. I've seen multiple times where safeties are switching on the snap. A lot of cover two, just things like that. So I am considering it, professional football, with just players that either aren't getting their shot or just the NFL has better, or NFL teams just have better options of what they're going to do in that position. But in this game, the quarterback play wasn't elite on either side of the football. Cookus did end up coming out, and Jamar Chase did come in there, and Smith came in there and led this ridiculous drive, got them in the end zone. Ricky Person, he had 13 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown for Birmingham. On Houston side, they went White had 9 for 69, but he had 2 touchdowns. So Houston it all happened at once. They weren't able to come out there and finish strong or do anything in the second half. They got completely shut out in the second half. And we had the bet. We had it, Houston plus 5.5. And on that, when Birmingham goes up 27-25 and they fumbled the kickoff and scored, it was just that kind of gambling week, folks. It's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. It's just how it goes. It's unfortunate for our plays, unfortunate weekend. But as always, these things happen. We understand that when we bet, we're smart bettors. And we understand to not be emotional, especially after a loss. We never double down. I had big units. I had 3 units on this game. And it was just disappointing that it happened that way. I know in every game that I took, it was right size, wrong shape. That should have catched. Sternberger had a good game, 4 catches, 74 yards. Like I said earlier, he had that touchdown. And Houston's best receiver was Lawrence Keys. He had 4 grabs, 65 yards. Pretty good game. I mean, it was a good game. Just what a comeback. And I got to attribute a lot of that to Birmingham's coach, Skip Holtz. I've talked about him before. He has had the way he coaches a younger generation, and it's not a knock on younger generation at all. It's just a different style. We don't have Vince Lombardi style coaching anymore. The last guy to really do that was Coach Saban. But I think that because Coach Saban was so adamant about the process and understanding what you're doing and why you're going to go to these goals and do these kinds of things, there's an explanation for it. And then when the results are on the field, people will buy in. And he wasn't that much of a hard guy like it was projected on TV. He just demanded excellence of his players. And when you demand excellence and you see that what he's demanding works and everybody buys in, you can build a dynasty. And I don't care what sport it is. I don't care if it's college football, the NFL, the UFL. I don't care if it's baseball, none of it. If you're able to create a culture and create a group that's able to buy into what you're believing in and able to execute and willing to work and risk everything for it, that is fantastic coaching. And I think that's what Skip Holtz is doing here at Birmingham. The results show it. They're 3-time champs for a reason. They're on their 5th quarterback. Even I start to think when you get that many quarterbacks in the season, man, eventually the bow's going to break on that bridge. And it looked like it might have in the first half here. But to their credit, never give up, never quit, never subsided, never satisfied. There has to be something going on in the state of Alabama. And you know what it is? It's just greatness. When you're from Alabama, you're great. When you live in Alabama, you're great. It's just that simple. Trust me, as a Crimson Tide fan, I know this. Plus, my family's from there, so I've got that greatness in my blood. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. So it was an amazing comeback. I mean, I am a Stallions fan, and it was bittersweet because I was like, oh, 27-25, I get to see the team I like win, plus I get my money. But they had other ideas with that fumbled kickoff internally. There were expletives deleted that I can't say on a live stream because I want to keep my live streams going. What a game it was. What a game it was. UFL has great product. And there are naysayers out there that are just like, oh, I don't know this or I don't know that. Or just, it's okay to admit you don't love football. It's okay. And the attendance, people are up in arms about it. It's down in certain spots. And, I think that's a poor attribute from league management more so than the product on the field because the games are watchable. I mean, all these games, except for the last one, came down to the last play of the game. I mean, we had the 2-point conversion, or the 2-point conversion with Michigan. They got it on the penalty and stuff like that. And then Birmingham, I mean, wasn't the last play of the game, but they got the recovery. It was down to the wire. I mean, the game on Friday came down to a crazy catch. And it's been quality product. None of the uniforms look ridiculous to me. I mean, the Arlington one's a little gaudy for my taste, but they look like professional. It kind of looks like a football league that you see on TV, or it's a fiction league. But if you give the product a chance, you're able to watch and see that this is incredible football. It's great football. I personally wish that there were a couple things that they would do differently, but I don't have the capital to have my voice be heard at that table. I'm just a fan just like you. I like to sports bet. And I know that some of the fans are not caring for the constant sports betting updates, but that's what draws people to football. Hundreds of thousands of people bet every single week on the NFL and college football. And I think that they're trying to reach out to that niche market and say, hey, we got a product that we can put out here for you. I'd like for you to watch. And here's some incentives for it, especially on the ESPN broadcast. Ms. Dolan goes out there and she very professionally does an amazing job of explaining what the bets are, what's the cover, there's live betting on the ESPN app. And they tell you where you can bet it, what the lines will be, what the next possession will be. And if you love to gamble, I always say to gamble responsibly, be very sure that you do that. But when you are betting on these things, it's nice that ESPN has these options to say, hey, you can bet on how the next drive is going to go. You can bet on what you think is going to happen in real time. So it's just they're taking the league seriously in that retrospect. Excuse me. But that was a good game to start this morning off. And then that segues into our afternoon game, St. Louis at Memphis. And this one was kind of a slobber knocker. So Jim Ross would say, that was a slobber knocker. About God, what a match. But neither quarterback really played well today. Max Duggan only had 158 yards. He had an interception. He did have that rushing touchdown. St. Louis feels like Duggan feels like the guy who he stands there and he looks downfield and he makes a read and he doesn't trust that read half the time, so he just takes off. And I think this is going to hold the Battlehawks back come playoff time, right? He was great at TCU. He had Quentin Johnston down there. He doesn't have that kind of he has Hakeem Butler, but I didn't know if he even played today or not because he's not on the stat sheet from what I saw. I mean, just taking a look at it, Max Duggan, 158 yards throwing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but he was also the team's leading rusher. So what happened to Sailors? What's going on there? Feels like that's a glass roof on that team. A lot of people think that that's the case with Birmingham, but looking at this team, it just feels like there might be something else going on that we're not quite sure of. So Gary Jennings was the leading receiver, 3 catches, 61 yards. I mean, Memphis wasn't much better. Dresser Wayne hit 196 yards and a touchdown, but I know he had that fumble late in the game. Again, that goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the football mechanics. So simple things like that, when you're holding on to the football as a quarterback, you want to protect the possessions at all times. Tom Brady, when he was talking about being 4th string at Michigan, at New England, his first year, he was drafted in the 6th round, and his coach told him, treat every snap like it's the Super Bowl. And I think that that's what has to happen. I believe that mentality fully. I'm not saying these guys don't do it, but when you do that and you think every play is a Super Bowl, you're going to be very mindful of the football. And it's frustrating to me as a fan, a football fan, to see quarterbacks that can improve these things not be performing at full function when it comes to just holding on to that football and making a play. But yeah, Wynn didn't have his greatest game. They did the interview with his mom and his grandma. That was pretty good. I mean, it is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Or happy Mother's Day to your mother, whoever is watching. I've got 3 viewers. So thank you for tuning in. Deneric Prince, he had to take a majority of the carries. The other running back got hurt. 17 carries for 44 yards will not get the job done. That is not efficient football. You need to be able to run the football. If you're new to this channel or new to football, if you can't run the football, right, then all the defense has to do is rush 4, and you got 7 in coverage, and it makes passing it virtually impossible. A lot of teams can't exude patience and say, hey, we're not going to quit on this, so the defense doesn't come up front. And when you do get that, that's when play action opens up, right? So if you're able to run the ball well, and then you do play action, you can get one-on-one on the side, a 50-50 ball, or a busted coverage. I mean, just anything's possible. Anything is possible. But if you can't establish the run, that's why they say we want to establish the run. If you cannot do that, this is what that's about. Memphis leading receiver Jonathan Adams, 4 grabs, 69 yards, and a touchdown. That's a pretty solid day. And like I said, for St. Louis, 3 carries, 61 yards. So all in all, that's kind of a recap of the week. If we look at the standings on XFL conference, I mean, we got DC and St. Louis at 5 and 2. So they're the front runners. Arlington's 3 and 4. That was a big loss for them. That's going to be really tough for them to come back with 3 weeks to go. It means weeks 8, 9, 10. So they have to get it in gear. And then the USFL conference, Birmingham and Michigan are 5 and 2. Boy, that is going to be quite. If those 2 teams are the ones that qualify and they make a playoff game, that will be the best playoff game of the 2, in my opinion. Bryce Perkins going to Birmingham. I mean, Birmingham already beat them once this year. But we'll see. It's going to be good. It's coming down to the end. It's going to be a great race. Houston at 3 and 4. If Houston had won today, that would have really changed things up, because I think if the Roughnecks get in there, I don't know how, because they've really got a wall to climb with 3 weeks to go. But if they somehow got in there, they'd be the most intriguing. But what's crazy is this league, UFL, it's got 8 teams, and 3 of them are in Texas, and it's looking like none of those Texas football teams are going to make the playoffs. So that's kind of a little bit of a knock at Texas, but that's exactly what it is. So, but it is a great season. I am enjoying the league so far. I mean, we've only got 17 more weeks till the NFL kicks off, another 15 weeks until college football kicks off. I want to take a quick look here at next week's lines for betting and see if they're up. They're usually up by now. So patience. I hope you guys can hear me. I got a new microphone. I know I hadn't sounded so great. Nobody's left any feedback in the comments about this, but so be it. Let's take a look here. Doesn't look like the odds are up for next week's games yet. Just want to take a look somewhere else, so have a little patience with me. Let's just see. What are we looking at here? UFL. Give me UFL. I don't think that. I just don't think the odds are posted. No, the odds are not posted, but what we can do here real quick is just take a quick preview of next week's games, because the schedule is always up. All right, let's take a look here. All right, so we are going into week 8 next week. All right, so here we are. So week 8 matchup next week. Oh man, Friday night, Memphis at San Antonio. So a couple teams that are already out of it. Are we going to see quarterback tryouts? Are we going to see effort? Are we going to see who's serious about ball? I mean, that is the Friday night, like, 0 playoff implications. You can't tank in this league for draft picks. That's not really how it works. I think, the quarterback reps are going to matter. I do like Hogan a little more than Wynn in that game. It's in San Antonio. If you live in the San Antonio area, I'd like for you to get out there somehow. But that is our Friday night matchup. Saturday's game, here we go. Birmingham and St. Louis. Let's go. It's going to be good. I think St. Louis is going to show out. I think their fans are going to show out. We're going to see, what's Birmingham going to do at quarterback? Is it going to be Smith? Is it going to be Cookus? What's it going to be? It's so frustrating to not know. But like I said earlier about Max Duggan, if the defense, Birmingham's defense, can say, hey, we're going to make him, pass the football. That's what I would try and do, is make him pass it, because he's a decent runner, but I'll take my chances with my secondary against him. I mean, it's been shown that Max Duggan, has had some big moments, but he's at home. The energy will be there. Sailors could have a big game. You can move the ball in Birmingham. Is Akeem Butler going to show up? That would be a huge difference for them. Could be a big statement game for Anthony Becht and the crew down there, but we'll see. Skip Holtz knows how to coach these football teams, and he does an amazing job. He should be – this is more of a coach of the year effort for him, in my opinion. And looks like we got a doubleheader on Saturday, and the games are on at the same time. Scheduling can't be right. But I'll preview both games anyway, because it says it's on Fox. Michigan at Houston. So Houston here, they're going to kind of be in desperate mode. Bryce Perkins keeps winning. I'd like to see Houston tie up some things on defense. I think that they had a really good chance to get a big win, and when you get let down like that, we're going to see how you respond. Houston has been the most intriguing story for me this week. I'm sorry, for this season. Abrupt start, came roaring back, don't quit. Unfortunate circumstances this week. They got a home game, but Houston fans don't show out for this. They just don't come to these games, and I can't figure out why. If you live in a UFL city, what are you doing this weekend? You're not doing anything. The Rockets are out. The Astros are kind of in the preseason. Get out to the ballpark. Get out there and support them. Go see some good football. Go see Bryce Perkins play football. Go see your team. Go cheer them on. Go make it hard for Michigan to win this game. And then that leads to our game on Sunday, Arlington at DC. So we're going to see the Beer Snake. I think it's been a couple weeks since DC's been at home. And Jordan Tamu, that might be a one-sided game there. I think Arlington. But they're in the same position as Houston. Just had a tough loss. Their season's on the line. DC just has this win like this. It can set up for anything. That's what's great about this league. It's unpredictable. These games got big-time playoff implications, and don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. These teams, these coaches, they've been working at this all year. They want to get in the playoffs. They don't think it's second league. They want to go in there and win a championship. They want to go in there and show their hard work paying off. They definitely want to do that. And it's going to be a hell of a football game. It's going to be a great weekend of football this next coming weekend. Season is winding down. And before you know it, it'll be time for the playoffs and the championship game. It's just going to be some really good stuff, just kind of doing a sneak peek at, some games in the upcoming weeks. Michigan goes down to Birmingham. That'll have some big time. That's going to be a playoff preview. DC at Houston coming up. Last week of the season. We kind of got some mismatches the last week of the season, but Houston at Michigan, St. Louis at DC on a Friday night. So all these games will have repercussions for sure. But that'll get us through our, that'll be Memorial Day weekend, and we'll be able to, get the playoffs thereafter and be done with the season by June. And I'll also have some CFL talk coming up when the season starts rolling there to get us through the summertime. The NBA playoffs will be starting to get really, to the finals coming up. They're in the semifinals now. Then it'll be in the conference finals and the NBA finals. So there's still some betting to be done. There's still some sports to watch. We'll be in the heart of baseball season. And that'll kind of segue into the last thing I'm going to talk about, which isn't UFL related. It is Major League Baseball. And the Colorado Rockies have got some serious, serious problems. They did fire their manager, Bud Black, today. I saw that come across the ticker, and what an awful situation there. They only have 6 wins. For reference, last year, the White Sox were just a train wreck of a baseball team, and they had at least 11 wins at this point of the season, which tells me to believe that because the Rockies are this bad and the team ERA is around 6, which is just obscene for a whole team, there is a chance that the Colorado Rockies of 2025 might be the worst team in the history of Major League Baseball, which is crazy considering the White Sox only won 43 games last year. 6 wins? What's going on there? Like, what is going on? You cannot sustain that. You should not have 30-something losses on May the 11th as a Major League Baseball program. That is crazy to have 6 wins. I believe it's 31 losses. I'm just going to take a look to make sure that I'm right. But it's just looking at them. They're 5 games worse than last year's White Sox. That is just out of this world. Let me take a look here at the standings. And yeah, I'm unapologetic if I've got, my computer here to have reference, but that's kind of what I want. I want to make sure that I'm right. So standings right now, yes, 7-33. I'm sorry, 7-33. They're the worst team in the National League. They're 19.5 back games on May the 11th. That is craziness. The worst team in the American League is the White Sox. They're 12-29, so it's not much better. But, they're 14 games back. But the Rockies you can't be 20 games back. That is prayers up. 20 games back, and it's May 11th. 7-33. The Diamondbacks, for reference, are 4th place. They're 21-20, and they're 6 games out. And that's not even a rotten season. Just the National League West is so tough. The NL Central, Cubs, they got a game lead on the Cardinals. Everybody's still pretty much in that except for the Pirates. The Mets and the Phillies, Braves are kind of lagging behind there. In the American League, there isn't any real separation in the American League. Yankees got a 2-game lead. Tigers got a 2-game lead. Mariners all got a 2-game lead. All those can be done in one weekend, sweep one way and a sweep another, and standings will change. But that's just I had to put that tidbit in there. Like I said, this channel, I've decided that it's not going to just be about football. It's going to be about sports in general. I'm going to have come fall, when the NFL season starts, I'm going to be going live immediately when Red Zone ends for the second half games. In that segue between Sunday Night Football, there can be an hour, there can be 20 minutes, there can be 15 minutes, whatever it'll be recapping what we saw for the day. And also for some of you fantasy football heads, I do play in the Dynasty Fantasy Football League, so I understand long-term trades and implications. If you want to throw trades in there, say, hey, what do you think of this and this for these picks? I'm absolutely your source. You see right there, I've got a fantasy football trophy. So I do know this game. Football is the game that I love, but this is an all-sport channel. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. And I will be on next Sunday, and we will go over those UFL matchups next week. So it should be getting good. It's ready for playoff time. And thank you so much. You guys have a great one. Appreciate you.